Feels like the first time. Throw away all my pride. Don't wanna say I love you first, but holding it in just might make me burst. Love in the open, daydreaming, hoping, melting in our make-believe new worlds. Whispering winds bring the remembrance that you're my girl. No shame, no games. I wanna fall in love, fall in love. I'll be a savage, I'll be a baddest. Or do you like sweet caramel honey dipped? I'm yours till the beat flips. Don't let it slip. Give up my power. Yes, afraid to lose each other. Counting the hours till I see you again. Could you be life, lover, and best friend? Waiting for text back, wondering where you at, or who could you be with? No, I'm not possessive, but you're mine. Okay, I'ma let you live, no shame, no shame, no game. I wanna fall in love, vulnerable in love. Do you want classy? Do you want nasty, babe? I'll give you options. I'll be a perfect day. I'm yours till the night fades. Whoa, don't let it fade. No shame and no game. I wanna
Lights off, transparency on. Late night marriage with the riches. Late night marriage with the riches. You need that real talk, this is what you want. Lights off, transparency on. Let's go.
Hey, what's going on? What's up? What's up? What's up? Hey, welcome to Late Night Marriage with the Riches, where it is lights off, transparency on. I am Damon Rich,
I am Tamika Rich.
and we are glad to have you here
You are welcome.
with us tonight. Yeah. So, I had somebody ask me a question today, and it sparked tonight's conversation, which is dating in the Bible? And I'll tell you what I answered them. If by the title you can't already tell, I tell you what I answered them and talk about why. And the more I start thinking about the statement, the more I start digging into and having an aha moment. I start having an aha moment of what's going on with these relationships, an aha moment of what's going on with these marriages, an aha moment just all the way around the boat, around the block. Like I just had a bunch of aha moments as I was pondering that question, that comment, that thought about dating and marriage, or dating being biblical or not in the Bible. And so, yeah, we want to dig into that a little bit tonight. We want to talk about just quite a few different things, and I want you to think about when you hear the phrase sometimes used, date biblically, right? Dating biblically, dating God's way. how is it that we would establish a dating God's way? And I think I understand what they may be trying to say.
All right.
And there's some context and some reality around how God has us live life. But as far as dating God's way, there is necessarily no dating God's way.
Mhm.
And I'm worried and concerned that we as believers who are out here coaching these singles and coaching these dating people and engaged people, dating God's way or doing it God's way, it doesn't involve dating, which is interesting. So some people might swing back and say, well, I don't date, I court.
Mhm.
Old school, you coding her? That's what the old school folks used to say. You
Right.
coding, you call yourself coding,
Mhm.
right? And I would say to you in that courtship, as we know it, as we do it,
Mhm.
is not in the Bible either. Although there is some form of courtship,
Right.
right? So let's dig into this, and I want y'all to think about, what does dating biblically mean to you? Drop it in the comments. What does dating biblically mean to you? Do you believe in dating biblically or not? Last week we
Mhm.
had a good friend and sister on, Melanie the broker, and we didn't get to the topic about how she feels about arranged marriages,
Right.
and that's a whole different conversation that we're going to brush on a little bit tonight. But dating isn't in the Bible, because when we think about dating, and dating, I want to be clear,
Mhm.
dating doesn't mean that you date and dating includes sex.
Right.
But let's be real. Most people who are dating for any substantial amount of time, sex ends up happening.
Mhm.
Sex ends up happening, right?
Right.
And so that's one of the things that we have to remember,
Mhm.
is that although dating doesn't mean you have to have sex,
Mhm.
more often than not, sex is going to get involved when we're dating in today's society.
Right. So for me, it's because then, and I think the person probably that asked you the question basically now, because people want to know, what do I call it? If I'm
Mm-hmm.
a believer, is it believer dating, believer courtship, just courtship, date? I don't know. Do we have a different name for it?
It's not, and that's the thing.
Or
That's
do
where,
we have to have a name for it?
well,
Am I seeing them? Is that, is a friend? Is it a friendship? I mean, what is
what it's
a
like.
date ship? A courtship?
It I don't even think it's about title. It's
Mhm.
supposed to be, how do I find my purpose partner?
Right.
And once I believe I've met them,
Mm-hmm.
how do I vet them?
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Right? That that is really what it kind of boils down to.
Mm-hmm.
And in our society, particularly in the Western world, we believe that vetting them is going through almost like mock marriage, because we expect a lot of things during the dating cycle
Right.
that we expect during marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why sex ends up coming into play. I
Right.
was having
Because
a
we want to test out everything and see everything pre-marriage.
pre-marriage,
And
right?
and here's what we find out. Regardless, it's still going to be different and more things. It's ever ever going. It's forever ever. It's
Yeah,
always something new. But we do try to, in a short period of time, get all of the things learned. Only God knows that. So
right.
that's why it's important that God is at the head, the center when you're married, but definitely that He's in the forefront in the beginning before you make that decision.
Yeah. So here's the thing that I think doesn't happen, and we talk about this a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that I think that a lot of people make the decision on who they're going to marry, and then
Mm-hmm.
God ask God to bless it,
Mm-hmm.
instead of not wasting time
Mm-hmm.
in asking God up front, hey God, is this the person that you sent my way?
Right.
Right, that I'm supposed to be entertaining, that's supposed to be my purpose partner. Because if you say no, then I got to. But in order to do that, I got to have a strong relationship with Christ.
Right. Is this my spouse or should I look for another?
There, there you go. There you go. Is
Right.
this my spouse or should I look for another? And there, I think that we don't do that. How
Mhm.
firm, but before you get married, how firm is your relationship with Christ? Right now, if you're not a believer
True.
and you're listening to this,
Mm-hmm.
this don't apply to you. Okay. I would love you to become a believer, but that ain't what I'm trying to do right now. Right now, I'm not trying to win you over to Christ. I'm saying if you are a believer, there's a sequence. Let me have a strong relationship with Christ so that I can know so that I can have the strong relationship with the person that Christ sends into my life.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We get so caught up on he who finds a wife finds a good thing that and obtains favor with the Lord.
Right.
But we completely forget about, like, hey, before that, on the other side of that equation, it should be somewhere like, hey, God needs to confirm this
Mm-hmm.
for me.
Yeah.
Hey, he say he found me. God, is that true, or should I keep playing hide and seek?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So because of the question, the statement, I dug in the scripture and I was like, is there any instance of dating in the Bible? And I found things that are more in line with courtship
Mm-hmm.
than I found with dating. And here's the thing, the distinct difference between dating and courtship. In courtship, the family does a lot of the vetting.
Mm-hmm.
In courtship, your family is heavily involved in the vetting and decision-making process. And you typically yield
Mm-hmm.
to the leadership of your family. Now, I do realize there are some family members, they ain't got no relationship with God, and they just, oh, my gut just tell me he ain't the right one. You sure it ain't them lima beans you ate, auntie? You sure that ain't what's disagreeing with your gut, and you just happen to meet him the same day that you had them lima beans that tear your stomach up every time, but that's your gut about him
Mm-hmm.
or about her, right?
Right.
But the family sometimes isn't vetting the person. They're vetting you
Mm-hmm.
with the person.
Right.
And they're saying, I know you.
Mm-hmm.
And from what I pick up on this person, they ain't the problem. You gonna be the problem
Right.
because I know you.
Mm-hmm.
So courtship, family is heavily involved. But when I start reading in the scripture, getting in the scripture, I came across, there's like 3 stories that get pointed out.
Mm-hmm.
There's Ruth and Boaz. There is, which might be the relationship that has the most courtship like
Mm-hmm.
going on.
Mm-hmm.
One of the stories that didn't come up that could probably be brought up is Esther.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Lord, is it King Darius? Who did she marry? Is it King Darius or King Ahasuerus? I don't know. So it's Esther and the king.
Mm-hmm.
That there was some courtship to a certain degree there,
Mm-hmm.
right? No dating. Then there's Jacob and Rachel,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because you can't say that it's Jacob and Leah. He got tricked into Leah. But there was Jacob and Rachel.
Right.
And then there was Isaac and Rebekah. Now, this the crazy thing. This the real crazy thing. I'm going to start with Isaac and Rebekah. Because I want to know how many of you would be cool with this. Abraham was old in age.
Mm-hmm.
And he like, Isaac need a wife. He called his servant who was over his house,
Mm-hmm.
his oldest, most trusted servant, and said, go among my people from where I came with my daddy, from my daddy people, and go find my son a wife.
Right.
I want you to get this. I want you to think about this. I think it's in Genesis 24.
Mm-hmm.
Abraham wasn't even well enough to go and do it himself.
Right.
He sent a servant.
Okay.
Hey, Hazel, go down and find my daughter a husband. Hey, Hazel, go down and find my son a wife.
Right.
He sent it, and he made him promise because he's like, wouldn't it be easier if I just take Isaac with me so he can kind of look? He's like, no. I want you to understand the level of trust he had. But this servant had to have been around for a long time. So he knew the family. He knew Isaac, and Abraham trusted him to go select a wife for Isaac. I want you to think about the implications of that, especially when you consider the promises that God made up to Abraham about not only himself, but his lineage. Y'all tell me who y'all trust to go pick out
Right.
a
That's a lot
spouse
of
for you.
trust.
Mhm.
I say that's a lot of trust, but he's going through that like, not her. Let
Mm.
me see hers.
But
But yeah.
but this is the thing. This is the real thing about all that. And this is one of those things when it comes to when you're talking about finding your purpose person. This man went down and he prayed.
Mm-hmm.
He said, God, I want to do this for my master, but I need your help doing it.
Well, she got a good word for that.
She got, I want to, give you, I want to come down and I want to do a good job for my master. I'm looking for the lady
Mm-hmm.
who is out here working, right? And when I asked her for water, and I saw a whole nother side of when Jesus was sitting at the well for the water, because he basically said the same thing to Jesus. He like, hey, you'll give me something to drink.
Mm-hmm.
He like,
Same thing. Ask for a drink.
yeah, he asked for a drink. And basically he said, he said with the, you multitasking, sis, you multitasking, you're doing the
Hey,
most.
sis. Hey, man.
So mostly what he said was, he said, and if she offers me a drink,
Mm-hmm.
and also the camels, his camels,
Mm-hmm.
then I know she the one. So she wasn't just thinking about drinking him, but she like, oh, if you need to drink your animals. She had a servant's heart.
Mm-hmm. But here's the thing. So he just asked her. So what if he'd have said, let me ask 2 or 3 of them the same thing and see how they respond?
The way the scripture goes,
Mhm.
she was the first one that he saw.
Okay.
So if she wouldn't have said what she said, what I get is that he would have like, oh, okay. So she was the first one that came up. I'm finna pull it up. I'm finna pull up the
I
scripture.
pulled up this one.
Ahasuerus.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
So let me see. And it was his kinfolk. So, and it says, so he was praying, right?
Mhm.
He said, drink, and I will also, picking up at like the 14th verse. Now let it be that the young woman to whom I say, please let down your pitcher that I may drink. And she say, drink, and I will give your camels a drink. Let her be the one you have appointed for your servant Isaac. And by this I will know that you have shown kindness to my master. And it happened before he finished speaking, before he even finished praying, right?
Right.
Before he even finished praying, watch what happened. And it happened before he had finished speaking, that behold, Rebekah, who was born of Bethuel, son of Malachah, the wife of Nahor, Abraham's brother, name came out with her pitcher on her shoulder. Now the young woman was very beautiful to behold, a virgin. No, I want to know how you know she was a virgin. No man had known her. And she went down to the well, filled her pitcher, and came up. And the servant ran to meet her and said, please let me drink a little water from your pitcher. So she said, drink, my lord. Then she quickly let her pitcher down to her hand and gave him the drink. And when she had finished giving him a drink, she said, I will draw water for your camels also until they have finished drinking. Then she quickly emptied her pitcher into the trough, ran back to the well to draw water, and drew for all his camels, right? So before he could even finish praying, Rebecca showed up, answered prayer.
Yeah.
So now we're not talking about dating, because he sent the servant. Isaac didn't know who his wife was going to be until she got back there.
Right. Till he showed up.
Right? He named out that she was beautiful, but what he was praying for, he didn't pray in his prayer, God, let her be beautiful. He said, God, let her have a servant's heart, basically.
Not be a dime.
Not be a dime. Let her have a servant's heart.
Right.
And she had a servant's heart. And after all of that, if you keep reading the story, he was still a little unsure. He like, then he has to go back and stay at their house, all of that good stuff, and you can continue reading the story for him. But I'm getting back to the fact, the dating. There was no dating. It was prayer and family involvement. I don't read anywhere in the scripture where Isaac even said he wanted a wife. His daddy said he need a woman.
Right.
He went back Genesis, like it ain't good that Isaac should be alone. Right? He need a woman.
He need his favor.
He need his favor. Whatever you want to call it, however you want to say it. Yeah, he needed his help. He needed, I feel my help coming on. He needed his help coming on. And so Isaac had a wife chosen for him by a servant.
Right. Because here's the thing. I think a lot of times people know what's good, or we talk about when the Bible and Genesis talk about being comparable.
Yeah.
I kind of put comparable and compatible in the same thing, not the chemistry, because that is different. And I think a lot of times people get those things confused or whatever. Because the chemistry is more about the looks and the ooh and the ah and the butterflies and all of the thing and the stars. But the comparability and the compatibility is more of, because they know you, what is going to mesh with you well. They know your character, they know who you are, some of your, habits, quirks, all of the things. And so they think about all of that, like you said, they're vetting them more so than the other person, and then go, when they do meet the other person and get some of the things that they know about them, or go, oh, you'll be good for, this person or whatever. And a lot of times, people do that now. Dating, well, they call them dating services or matchmaking services, and even the things that are online, they ask you to fill out all of this thing. Of course, you have to pay for it. All of these questions so they can match you
Right.
on
Right.
compatibility or comparability.
Choose a lane. Choose a lane.
They're close.
Choose a lane. Because compatibility and comparability, comparable for him and compatible for him, is two completely different things to me. They can be two completely different things. There is some similarity, but they are two completely different things. Compatibility, I ain't gonna get into that tonight. I ain't gonna get in. That's a whole nother teaching. So we got Isaac and Rebecca, right? We know what that produced.
Right.
So that produced Jacob and Esau, and that produced, everything that came from there. We have Jacob and Rachel. Jacob had to spend a considerable amount of time around and with the family. Right. And again, I know it's taboo, ain't something I would do, but these guys all married family. It might have been their second, third, fourth cousin. In Abraham's case, is his half sister, whatever, on his daddy's side, whoever side it was on. But they married family. What I want to bring out of that is they married familiar. And I remember having a conversation.
Yeah, we are not saying go marry your cousin.
No, we ain't saying go.
The volume.
The volume.
Oh, it's low.
I don't know what's up with the volume. Hey, I don't know. Turn your thing up. I don't know what's up with this volume. Let's try this. Hopefully you can hear us a little bit better now. I adjusted the microphones.
Let us know.
Let us know. So here's the thing that is interesting, right? So when you start listening to when you start talking to Jacob, or you start talking about Jacob, you start talking about what he went through, that level of familiarity. And I was talking with some guys one day, and they was talking about what was different, why marriages don't really stay as long as they used to. And say part of that is because we've lost that sense of community. And you usually married within your community. You were familiar with the family. You were familiar with the trauma even in the family. You were familiar with the ups and downs of those families. And so when you married into that family, there were not a lot of surprises.
Right. That's why a lot of times I think it was like the childhood sweethearts, they would call it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The community and the people that you grew up around or grew up with, went to school with.
Yeah. No, and that's the important thing about it is it's like, hey, we got to get to a place where where like it's community. When you have a sense of community, then all of a sudden you're familiar with the people that you're marrying in. Now, if you're in what you might deem as a unfavorable community, let me say it that way, then you may not find anyone that you want to marry within that community. But the closeness and the proximity of knowing people, now you got people marrying people from one side of the state all the way to the other side of the state, and sometimes from other countries. And now we have a lot of differences. We have cultural differences and such, and expectations and such. And when you do that, now I don't even know your culture, so we gonna already have a bumpy ride getting the two becoming one. We got even more of a bumpy ride coming. And then you have a lot of people who are dealing with parent issues, parent abandonment issues or whatever. So they are also struggling with their own individual identity, right?
Yeah.
So when you have community, it just does something different. So Jacob went and spent time in his willingness, like, I want her.
Right.
In his willingness and his commitment and his work and his effort to pursue her through work.
Definitely committed. Yeah.
Definitely committed. Now, here's the thing about Jacob, and it depends on how you read the story. Most read it as if he had waited 14 years for Rachel, but I don't think that's how it reads. That's probably a Bible study. He did the first 7 years and he thought he was going to get Rachel. He ended up with Leah. Then he wanted Rachel, and like, you got to work another 7 years. I think he got Rachel right away, but he still had to be a man of his word and work those 7 years. That's a little something to go look up, read, drop your thoughts in the comments.
Read the Bible,
right?
Yeah. Just read it.
Read it. So then let's talk about Boaz and Ruth, which probably comes the closest to courtship, along with Esther and Ahasuerus. Probably comes the closest to courtship, and there was a lot of effort that Ruth did to get in Boaz's way to be found. Ooh, we talk about this with ladies all the time. So we've been out and about as guys, and the women come in the midst, and, because they see a group of brothers, or, hey, how y'all doing, whatever. Some of them might know people, whatever. And what ends up happening is, we get onto the conversation of relationship. And here's the thing. The man you looking for ain't gonna want to see you belly up to a bar. The man you looking for ain't gonna want to see you in a cigar lounge. That ain't like who you looking for. You got to get in his way,
right?
But you got to be aware of where you get in his way at,
right?
Because right, wrong, or indifferent. And I'm not saying anything negative about the woman. If she wants to go have her drink, she wants to go have a cigar. Hey, go have at it. But when you go get in his way, it's important where you get in his way, because he may, and this is more on him than her, he may have a perception of you just because of where you got in his way at.
Right. Now, for women, I'm going to tell you this, because in their mind, when we talk about comparable, it's going, we're comparable. Because I can do this, he does this, and he'll like a chick that, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
You know what a man would like? I'm going to say this. This is what a man would like. A man would like a woman who does enough research to know what type of cigar he wants. Like, I don't know nothing about cigars. She might swing by the lounge and say, my husband smokes cigars. I want to get him some for his birthday. I ain't even really sure. Well, have you ever seen him smoke one? Yeah. What it look like? Is it light? Is it dark? They always kind of dark or whatever. Okay, he gonna probably like these. What type of liquor does he drink? Does he drink liquor? Or does he drink wine? And a real cigar aficionado gonna know. And that's what that man gonna be like, oh, okay, I wanna, he want that woman.
Okay.
Right? The woman that...
Not the one that goes and let's do it with him.
Not necessarily. Now, he may be okay on occasion,
Right.
that particularly when they're traveling, you hang out in it with him or whatever. But he also, we as men also know women. You go into a cigar lounge, your hair is gonna smell like cigars. And some women don't mind sacrificing that. I can wash my hair. I want to spend time with my man. Right. Some women, I don't want to go in there because it's in not forcing somebody to go and do that. Right. But knowing him, what he likes, what he wants, and vice versa, knowing her, what she likes, what she wants, or whatever. I hated shopping. I learned to enjoy shopping because that's what you like to do. And it can't always be just send you shopping by yourself. Okay, let me go. Now, I might not go in every store, but I'm going to be out there on that bench and, hey, come watch it or see this. I'm finna try this on. I want you to look at it and this and that. Now, I got to go to the other side of the shopping plaza to find you and look because you done left me on the other side of the mall. Okay, fine. That just goes with the journey. Right.
Goes with the journey.
Goes with the journey. But the thing that has to come into play is, okay, do I care enough to learn and do some of the stuff that they like to do?
Exactly.
Right? You might not like video games. Sit there and watch him. Right? Whatever that may be. But I think that that's what men look for. Okay, well, what's his favorite drink? Like, could you tell him? Like, if assuming he drinks, I don't want to build all this around drinking, but
drinking and smoking.
Yeah, drinking and smoking. But like, what's his favorite football team, or what's his favorite thing to do when he relaxes, or you know what I'm saying? It's like knowing those things.
Right.
This is where family comes into play, because when you spend time with family can tell you some of that
because they already know.
Right. Let me think about even our marriage. If you spent more time with my family, you would already knew that Sunday meals wasn't a thing for me. You would have knew that soul food wasn't my thing.
Oh yeah.
Right? You would have knew that. He I don't know. I don't think I ever even tried greens until I got with you. They was always cooked.
And guess who eat greens now?
Yeah, I eat greens now. But I'm saying you would have learned that, and it would have saved you some frustration on the front end, because it's just certain stuff I don't eat. Right? It's certain things you did learn about me just through us dating. Right? But it is, yeah.
Right. But learning to be okay regardless. So offering, hey, because I'm gonna eat them, so I'm gonna still cook them right.
Yeah.
But hey, try these,
Yeah. Yeah.
You might like them, or when the last time you ate them, or did somebody cook them bad or wrongly? Did you get, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Why don't you like them? Why don't you eat them?
So,
yeah, that was me. Let me find out why.
Yeah. First, yeah, you can do that. Fish.
So it's,
they would have told you. Buck don't do fish. Right?
Right.
Depending on who you're talking to.
Right.
So that's where that family component comes into play.
But you talked about, so let's talk about this a little bit. Being in the way, or putting yourself in the way, and then how you do that, how much of that, because I think that's what most women that single want to know. Am I doing it too much where I look thirsty? Did Ruth look thirsty? Thirsty. Let's talk about it a little bit. Was she thirsty? Did she look was she dehydrated? Like, she was really, really wanting Boaz. So let me keep putting myself in the way and doing all the things.
Right.
So what we doing?
Yeah. So putting yourself in the way is finding, I think a lot of putting yourself in the way is really getting to know you. And what do you really want to be, or who are you? And I think while you are being you, he will find you.
Okay.
So
That's good because I was going to go to next. He that findeth, and so I think a lot of times it gets confusing because it's like, okay, put myself in the way, and I've heard men say this before too, but it's like a certain kind of how you put yourself in the way without looking thirsty. But when you go back to hey, he that findeth, so is he finding me in the way? Is he finding me doing my own thing? What's what's
yeah,
going on for
it's
real?
finding you. Finding you is going to be finding yourself in the way of you being you. And I think that there are a lot of women who don't know themselves. And so when they come, it's hard to identify them. I think there's some instinct that tells you, but they don't know themselves. They know who they've been told to become.
Mhm.
They know
That's
who
good.
they
That's
have
true.
become,
Mhm.
but they haven't become who God made them to be.
Mhm.
Right. So, and I think that that's true of men. Sometimes you're not finding her because you're in the wrong place to find the her that you need in your life,
Mhm.
because you gotta be in the way. Now, sometimes being in the way is just being, I mean, where did I find you? Where do we find? We found each other at work,
Mhm.
right? So sometimes that's that. But it is, if you're trying to be found, one thing for sure, he ain't coming to knock your door down. That's robbery. That's
Right.
breaking and entering. He ain't coming to do that,
Right.
right? So you have to go to a place and say, hey, where are the so if I were out hunting, and I just think about men in general,
Mhm.
what do these men like to do when they're actually on the hunt and when they're in pursuit? So when they're on the hunt, they want to just knock something down. But when they're in pursuit, what mode are they in?
Mhm.
Right?
Mm.
It's either going to be within their work or within their self-care. And I'm
Okay.
talking about genuine self-care,
Mhm.
that she's going to be in the way. So um I think I'm trying to put this. So I'm going to say it like this because I don't want people to get the wrong thing, but I'm going to say it like this.
Mhm.
If I found myself single, some reason me and you wasn't together,
Mhm.
where would I find her in my way? It wouldn't be, when I'm hanging with the fellas at a cigar lounge or at a bar. Ain't no her gonna get my attention in that environment,
Right. So
right?
it could be the grocery store.
It could be the grocery store. It could be Starbucks. It might be in a museum or whatever, because I know me.
Mhm.
Where do I like to go to spend time with me? And wherever I go to spend time with me, that's likely where she would be. You know
Right.
what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So that's the thing, that for the same thing for the woman is like, where do you like to go spend time with you?
Mhm. That's good. So what about um people or men or women that go a lot of high valued men, and I'm not just saying high valued men, but you hear this a lot, tend to hang out in these places. So you should go to these things or go to
Real,
these places.
real high value men.
If you're looking for high value, it could be just, hey, if you're looking for a man, tend to hang
I
out
guess
in
I have to define this word of high value
Yeah.
man. That term always messes with me.
I know.
Is because we've reduced high value man to what he has and not
Exactly.
who he is.
Ooh, that's for sure.
If you consider him high value because of what he has and not because of who he is, his character,
Mm-hmm.
you probably barking up the wrong tree.
Right. And then again, that almost does it say something about her? Is that just what you're looking for?
You want to be taken
You know.
care of. There's something that comes along with a man who has high financial value but low character value.
Right. And I can't say just taken care of, because there are women who has the same in the same bracket, if I can put it that way, that's looking for somebody again that's comparable. So
And
it
they
goes,
can,
oh, if this is somebody that will be comparable to me because we, both make 6 figures, 7 figures, whatever it may be, let me kind of start here.
Yeah, and a woman may look at that, but the
Mhm.
way typically how women, and I'm not saying all, I don't believe in absolutes, but typically, the reason a woman that is on the same financial status with the man is looking for that kind of man is because she doesn't want anything to drag her down, and
Mhm.
she's looking to build a bigger empire in a lot of cases or whatever, but she's not looking for somebody that's going to drag her down. So at least if we're even, nothing, he's not going to take me down
All right.
because he's already got the same grind. So he's also going to understand when I have to work late and I have to do this because we both on the same grind. Well, we watch it in Hollywood all the time. Oh, they marry other actresses or actors
Entertainers,
and entertainers, and then it don't end up working because they're still not compatible. They do the same thing, but they don't get to spend any time together. And they ultimately, some of them find the love of their life in the person who's not in their industry because that person is able to move with them, flow with them, whatever. So now it's a different fit, but they still don't have the same status as them, but they like, I'm good with that.
Right. And who is truly compatible. So it goes against like, hey, if I'm trying to do it mainly or on my own, going, this is who I will be compatible with. A lot of times it's go, oh, you got it wrong, or I didn't get it right.
Yes.
But this other person did who knows me.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. But that's where you get into that family part. Like having the family and community and understanding who you are. That's why some people move away and then they come back when they get ready to marry. They go back home and they go look for that girl. And is she still around? They've been keeping tabs on her the whole time, kind of, but they done reached their place and they like, girl, I always wanted you. Now I can have you or take care of you and this and that and offer you a life that I think you're worthy of and this and this and that. You have that going on. And you hear those stories. It's like, I want to go back there. You look at LeBron James. He got he got a woman that was with him when he didn't have nothing. You got Snoop Dogg, a lot of these famous people that you wouldn't even think had these long marriages, but look at when they got them.
Or when you talked about the one that was watching from away and goes back home to marry.
Yeah.
How about the stories of the ones who end up marrying someone else, but then comes back home and go, 20 years later, 40 years later, I end up still marrying this person.
Hallmark.
That's not on this
Hallmark.
No, this is real life.
On this episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, because it's always the same on Hallmark. We're gonna find 25 ways to tell the same story.
No, but that's just not on Hallmark. I know people in real life.
It's on Lifetime.
Never mind. Where were we? It happens.
It happens. It happens. There are some people who find their way back, like they end up being a widow or something like that, and they find themselves their way back to the person that they probably should have been with from jump. Yeah. I've had that conversation with some family members that like, they were like, I should have probably been here and worked through this from jump. And that was where they were supposed to be at. They don't regret where they was at and what they did and all of this. They got kids out of it. They got a different life out of it, but they realized like, hey, this person was super crazy about me and we would have probably been fine. So yeah. So let's talk about what are we looking up for? Like, how do I date biblically? One, throw out that vocabulary of dating. How do I find my person? How do I find the person that God wants me to be? How do I find a list? Maybe it's a list of approved applicants. How do I find that? How do I be found? And the first thing is, and I'm careful when I say this because the church has done such a horrible job with this. First, get a strong relationship with God for yourself so that you can have discernment on these potential relationships. A lot of people get into relationships because they either don't have discernment or they ignored their discernment because something else was motivating them. I can guarantee you there are some people who are in marriages right now that they are regretting the marriage because they ignored input from family. They ignored discernment. They ignored a whole bunch of things. And they're in that marriage right now.
Right.
There are equally also some people who walked away from relationships because they ignored discernment. They ignored family input. That's where they were supposed to be, but they ain't even in that.
Right.
They ain't even in that. So, yeah, make sure that you have a strong focus on God. Center God in the beginning, not after it done already started. And here's something I would tell people who are dating right now. Do your dating thing. Stop having sex. Tell you that right now. Part of the reason your relationship is going wrong right now is because you keep having sex instead of trying to really get to know and understand each other. Sex clouds judgment.
Yep.
Sex clouds judgment. That little freaky thing she do, that little special move he do for you or what have you,
Right.
it clouds your judgment. Sex clouds judgment.
100%.
Stop having sex. Like immediately. If you're going to do dating, stop having sex. Just quit. And focus on getting to know this person emotionally, spiritually, so that you can make the right read.
Yep.
Okay. That you can hear your discernment. The next thing is seek accountability, right? You need to have trusted friends and mentors around you that can give you input. You need to have people that you trust their input. Right. There are some people, this is why that first one about knowing God and having that relationship with God is so important, is because you need to also know when your friends are jealous.
Right.
And you think you can trust them, but you can't trust them in this area because they're jealous. So you need to know that too. And you need to be in that situation and say, hey, look, I can't trust you with this.
Right.
I can't involve you in this particular decision because my discernment telling you I can't trust your input right here.
Right.
So that's super important too. Super important. So I would also tell you that, so not only focus on God so you can develop that level of discernment, or not only focusing on God, but seek accountability. But like I said, embrace and lean into that discernment. And I'm not talking about your gut. Your gut, our natural instincts are not always the same as our discernment.
That's true.
The spirit sees beyond what's there. Like I've been in clubs and my natural instinct told me it's time to leave. And shortly after leaving, bullets flying, right? Or fighting breaking out.
Right.
My natural instinct told me that. Why? Because I'm seeing people start walking from one side of the club to the other side of the club real fast. They whispering, they doing something. Oh, something to pop off. Somebody that had some drama. You didn't see the drama happen, but some more drama about to happen. There's something that's telling you, right?
Time to go.
I can remember being in the moon one time, and some just told me, hey, man, get from over here. And I got from over that neck of the woods, and sure enough, a fight broke out. I want to say between two girls. One girl got hit in the head with a stool, bar stool, whatever. It's like, nah, let's not.
Right.
Let's not say we did. So you need to lean into your discernment, but it is hard to have discernment. It is hard to have discernment when you don't have a connection with God. Do you even know what your values are? What do you really value?
That's important.
And not what do you value today? What is the 15-year in the future person that you're going to value? Be real with yourself. Because a lot of things that I valued at 20 and 25, I don't value now.
Right.
Right? But had I been looking forward ahead, it would have probably shaped some of my decisions, because I'm not making a decision for Damon today. I'm making a decision for Damon tomorrow. Discernment comes into play with that. Right? Last part is patience and timing. Be patient. You are not less than a person because you're not married, but be patient.
Right.
But I will tell you, some of you that are not married, it's on you, because you've been picky beyond what your discernment told you.
That's true too.
You want personal and spiritual. You want a perfect person. Hello, Isaac was not perfect. If Isaac was perfect, Rebecca wouldn't have had to play favorites with her son.
Right.
Right?
Nor was Abraham.
Nor was Abraham.
Nobody.
Nor was Jacob.
Right.
Right? I want you to think about Esther for a minute. Esther went in to the king, who was her husband, and there were still rules about her approaching him. She could have lost her life just to approach him. And that's her husband. So we have to be patient and have timing and know that every marriage that is duly noted in the Bible served a purpose, it yielded fruit.
Yeah.
If God is going to get you, he's not into dating you for partnership. He's into dating you for marriage, if that's what we're going to call it. If we're going to call it dating. But it's about marriage. If marriage is the end goal, the reason I have to have that relationship with God is, God, what do you want out of this relationship?
Yep. Purpose.
A lot of us are me. No, God, what do you want out of this relationship? Moses and Zipporah. Moses found her. He defended her and her sisters from the herdsmen or whatever. And then he went and stayed and spent time with her family. And eventually her dad, like, hey, you can marry my daughter.
Right. Oh, ain't that sweet?
Right?
Yeah.
I want to notice something. All these women were found working. All of them was found working. And they wasn't doing no light work.
No.
Toting pails of water back and forth to the village. They wasn't doing no light work. And here's the crazy thing. I don't know if Rebecca was, I don't think so. No, she couldn't have been at that well, because when the woman at the well said, our father Jacob gave us this well. So that wasn't the same well. I was about to say, I wonder if that's the same well they were sitting at and having that same conversation. That would be interesting.
Very. Years later.
But if you're talking about, getting married, if that's what you're out here doing, and you're looking to date, if you're looking to date, if you're really looking, if that's your thing, and you're looking for, like, hey, God, I need you to make sure I'm good with you so I can recognize when you sin what's good for me. Yeah. Any other thoughts, babe?
No.
No.
Be patient. Wait. Make sure you talk to the Lord, consult God, acknowledge him, let him direct you in that decision making.
Yeah.
And then if you hadn't thought about it, think about community and family and all of the things, in case they really know who that person might be for you.
Yeah.
Don't rule that out, because a lot of times you go, oh no, and they're gonna have me with a weirdo or somebody, or you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Just take the time to think about it, see who it is, you know what I'm saying, get to know the person, at least give it some thought. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. We got to get on our prayer wall so we can find this man and bring him to her. Here she is. But listen, we thank you for tuning in with us. I want you to just think about and drop in the comments. The discussion doesn't have to stop. Just tell us, how can you apply what we discussed tonight? Did it open anything up for you? Do you have any questions? Do you disagree with what we had to say? We'd love to hear from you, and we're looking forward to you joining us on the next episode of Late Night Marriage with the Riches.
And I'll be a good matchmaker. Just throw that in there, FYI.
She'll be a good matchmaker. Yeah, throw that in there. FYI. So listen, it's been another episode of Late Night Marriage with the Riches, where it's lights off, transparency on, and we will see you on the next video. God bless.
Good night. We love you for real.